right, well, I promised you a blue wig, and here we are, right? That's Space E, right? This is universe. I don't know. That's just kind of how we think about it, right? Um, yeah. So it's a good time. Busy practicing rolling my R's. Is that what you're doing? Rolling your R's? Okay. Um, let's see. Taste zones. Blood was blue in the body. Are you guys talking about stuff that you learned in the past? Okay. Alrighty. So, I don't know if we can turn off the light. I was kind of messing with the, the lighting and stuff, so I don't know. Is it fitting? I'm not sure. I think it's very shiny. The wig is not super good quality. It was a cheap wig. I just wanted to see what like a short blue wig would look like. And so I just kind of got this. I've also got my solar system cup. So, I'll try to have to figure out a way to explain it, Ratza, because I was just I just have done it since childhood. So it wasn't something that was taught to me. It was like my mom did it, so I imitated her. Like I was still in that flexible brain period. Do you know what I mean? All right. Reckless Inspire, hello. Yeah, absolutely. These are videos that are just for anybody who needs remediation, but also for students that are having a hard time in class because of this whole online system and that might need some review. Ideally, this would be, we'll finish the book. So, alrighty. Let's go ahead and open up the thing. I didn't set any of this up. I'm late. I know, I'm a terrible teacher. If the teacher is more than 15 minutes late, you do not have, it's not your right to go home. Okay. To learn rolling R's and not lisping S. S is R, right? Never really tried the R. Alright. Yeah, it's, I don't know, I just think of it as relaxing my tongue and breathing out while I'm letting my tongue move. That's the only way I can think about it. Alright, so our universe. What have you guys learned in school? What was different than what you learned in school? What has changed? So for example, exoplanets are a thing now. That's really cool. Heat death. That's cool. I guess literally. Alright. Let's see. We got the space cup. If I had time, I was gonna try to sing the Monty Python "I'm a Lumberjack" song because of the. I'm getting cold, so I had to get something, and this has blue in it. That works. Black holes have been proven. Yeah, space is big. Sure is. Dark energy, dark matter. That could be a thing, or that appears to be a thing that we've found, but not found. We took a picture of a black hole. When I was young, I learned there were several universes before this one or currently. Hubble still works, yeah. Supernovas, yeah. It's a good time. We've been making a lot of progress, which is really amazing. Oh, we took a picture of Pluto. That was cool. So those are some fun things, yeah. So remember, this is aimed at high school students, so a lot of this you guys probably know. Perhaps there's stuff in here that has been changed in the textbooks since you've been in school. So hopefully this will, even if there's nothing new, hopefully it'll still be fun and interesting. Let's see. Yes, now the number is larger, the age of the Earth, right? Sci-fi has improved. Yes, to an extent. Several universes that exist alongside the one we are in. Are you talking about multiverse? That hypothesis? I guess, is it a hypothesis? Multiverse idea? Because a hypothesis, you have to be able to test it, but how could we test it? Right? That's a bit difficult. How do we go outside of our universe to test something? So I don't like calling it multiverse theory. I think it kind of mixes some of these words. Hubble still works. The James Webb Space Telescope is delayed. The more things change and the more things stay the same. That's the word that's used now. I think the Earth was 4.5. Yeah, so the 3.8, Shuggle is saying that because we've been able to improve our detection with like our dating technology, we've been able to get a more accurate date. All right. So it's about 13.772 billion years old, as far as we can tell. How do we know this? So it's our ability to date different particles and different clusters. So, of course, the big question is, how did the universe start? Well, we're not really sure. That's kind of it. I guess for anybody that's watching, let me see if the Catholic friend is here that was here in the other video. Perhaps they would like to join us. Let's see if they want to join us for this, because why not? Let's see. You can. Let's see. We are talking about the solar system, if that interests you at all, Catholic whatever person. They wrote in this like weird font, so it's really difficult to tag them. Like, you have to find their name in a list. You can't just start typing CAT because it doesn't show it because it's not the same font. So it's kind of, I mean, it looks cool, but it makes it difficult slightly. All right. Did I just skip 2 slides? I mean, yeah. I mean, do you guys need to? Do you guys need to know it? I thought you guys knew it. Because we're not getting too much into it. Remember, this is a geography class. We're not talking about like chemistry too much. We're not talking about getting too deep into like how we're dating this stuff. So this is more like an overview. It's a geography class, but the students need to have a basic background in the solar system. So we don't want to get too far off track. So that's the reason some of this stuff we're not going too in depth with, because that's not what the class is for. I'm really young, but only in tree years. Very old in rat years, right? All right. Let's see. Certain comments are pretty telling. Yeah. All right. You did not miss them out of excitement, no. Does anybody have any ideas on how the universe started? Anybody at all? I feel like I'm hunched over so much. I don't know what we got. I don't know. Maybe I should have taken this off. I just feel like my shoulders. I'm just looking at this thing and it's just, I don't know. It's just looking weird. Let's see. Standing up in class to challenge Lee. But why did the universe have to start? Well, we are not here to answer why in that sense. That is more of a philosophical kind of question, and we're here in more of a scientific capacity. Quantum fluctuations, okay. You created it, okay. Well then, yeah, we can ask. Shuggle can ask now. Why did you create it, Reckless Inspirer? Why? Why would you do such a thing? Why subject us to this? Let's see. It came out of a black hole, okay. So these are all some ideas. And I think in one of these videos, it was a live stream, but I don't remember which one, we were talking about the idea that the Earth, or that existence is a simulation. And so that would mean our simulation creator, like a game designer, had created this. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, long story. Oh, okay. Maybe you can regale us some time with it. We managed to figure out the universe back to a fraction of a second after the Big Bang, but then we come up with stuff to change the timeline after anyway. I don't know if when you say it that way, when we come up with stuff to change the timeline, it sounds like we're just kind of making random guesses based on what we feel like. So we do want to remember that the people who are actually studying this, they're able to study it and make small changes to it simply because we're able to we have better technology to better understand this stuff and different types of math, because we have different types of math now, you know, like fractal geometry, you know, like the Mandelbrot set and stuff. That's new, you know. Let's see. You believe in the simulation hypothesis, okay? I think we were talking about it on the Discord too. Recent theories say natural constants, recent ideas, right? Or is it recent theories say natural constants were different at some points in history and the universe is just wild. Gotcha. All right. So let's go ahead and move along. So we do know after it started, it expanded. Okay. CMB is the cosmic microwave background radiation, or the cosmic microwave background. And it's pretty cool when we were able to say, well, based on what we know and based on how this stuff works, it should look like this if we were able to take a picture of it, and then we were able to take a picture of it and it matched our predictions. So that was really, really cool stuff for sure. Let's see what you guys are saying. Age is a mindset. Energy. I am 70. Yeah, definitely. I know what that is. Summer, we were talking at the start of the last class about being out of mana. Yeah. If age is a mindset, I'm probably a couple of centuries old. I mean, is that good or bad? So the expansion is called the Big Bang, and I know it's a very fun sort of animation here, but we do have to emphasize this was not an explosion, okay? An explosion not only makes it sound destructive, but it also has, it involves all this stuff like gunpowder or something, for example. This is an expansion, just a rapid expansion. You know, why didn't we call it the Big Rapid Expansion? I mean, the Big Bang sounds better, right? That's why we name these things, and this is how, you know, there's a lot of things that people misrepresent, and I'm actually going to do a video about this, maybe after this one, and it's about health and fitness, it's about religion stuff. People will read a title and then just go with what they think the title means, and then that's it. They don't learn anything, and then they develop this strong opinion based on their idea of what the title could mean. So we don't want to judge the Big Bang as a name. We don't want to judge the God particle as a nickname, talking about the Higgs boson, right? We want to know what it actually is. If you, in my policy is, if I don't have the time that it needs to, or if I don't have the time that the topic requires to learn enough about it, to understand it, to develop an opinion, I don't have the right to develop an opinion on it. You know, if I don't have the proper time to devote to a subject, it's not fair to just have a really strong opinion about it. Doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see. Wasn't the initial state of the universe the lowest state of entropy possible? Maybe within the start of the universe, right? But I guess you'd have to kind of quantify that statement. But yeah, we can say it's low entropy to more entropy. Why it banged, we also don't know what would have caused this expansion. If you guys are really interested in this concept of particles that could pop into, not into existence, but into our existence, perhaps in a different dimension, traveling through our dimension, just like if you were to put your hand, let's say, through an aquarium or something, you know, if you could do that, then I would recommend A Universe from Nothing by Lawrence Krauss. You can also watch that. Lawrence Krauss did a video, like a talk on it. There's a few talks I think he's done, but there's one that he's in like a college classroom, and he's just kind of doing a presentation. You don't have to look at anything. He's just talking. That's what the video is, just him talking to, I guess, students. But there's no graphs or any visuals that you need. So you can just turn it on, go about your day, and, you know, do your errands or chores and just listen to it if you'd rather do that. The book, of course, goes a lot more in depth. The video is only like an hour long, but it does explain some of these ideas a little bit better. Let's see. The name Big Bang became widely popular because the anti-inflation theory scientists use the term to mock it. Yeah, I've heard that too. Um, I'm not sure how true it is because I haven't looked it up, but yes, I've heard that as well. Um, so that also could be that could be it. Like the whole thing with Schrodinger's cat, that was a joke to talk about how ridiculous this concept was, and now people use it as an example to explain this concept. So it's interesting, yeah. It's not the matter that exploded into an already existing void. It was the whole of space and time that expanded from who the heck knows what. Yeah, but the big term is a catchy term, right? I think we've heard a lot of other stuff like that, like especially with hashtags these days. Like one of the hashtags, defund the police, for example. If you actually look at what they're saying, for the people that aren't literally talking about literally defunding the police, because there are those people, um, that that makes it kind of makes sense. But if you just hear defund the police, it sounds like they just want to get rid of the cops, or they want to just totally get rid of all the funding for the police. But that's not what it is. But to have hashtag, let's go ahead and do a really in-depth evaluation of what police officers are asked to do and what other services should be offered instead, and blah blah blah, and distribute the money. That's too long of a hashtag, right? Yeah, hashtag Big Bang. Sir Roger Penrose's conformal cyclic cosmology idea. If it's what I'm thinking of, I didn't know it was this person's name associated with it. But is that the idea that the universe expands and then contracts and then expands again, and so it's just sort of a constant like cycle? Is that what you're talking about? Recommend The Big Bang by Simon Singh, a great book about the history of the Big Bang. Fantastic. So, again, this is that cosmic microwave background. Sorry, it should say B, shouldn't it? What was I thinking? I was saying BG, I think, for background. Cool. So we have that to confirm this, right? And that's one of the things that kind of helps us with it. It's just that heat distribution. Defunding the police does not mean that. Yes, right. Let's see, the time and size of the universe is difficult for humans to truly comprehend. Absolutely. Actually, one of the students had said something about DNA, and I was like, oh no, DNA was discovered, we mapped the human genome in my lifetime, and the student was like, they were so shocked, and for them, just my lifetime, that's so long ago. The clothes that are, like, I was asked a student, hey, have you heard this band and this song? It was Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. And he said, oh yeah, I love classic rock. And I'm like, really? Classic rock? Okay, I guess it's classic rock now. I think that our relative understanding of time, relative to our lifetime, that makes it very difficult to just understand any other scale of time, right? For my students to understand my scale of time, that's difficult for them. They think about, like, they probably have this idea that everything in the 90s had that, was viewed a certain way, like it all looks the way that it looks on like on an old VHS tape recording that's found on YouTube now, and all those like grainy bits to it, so they have a hard time even comprehending that. I have a hard time sometimes remembering, oh yeah, they weren't around during this thing that I'm trying to explain. So just our own relative lifetimes are difficult to understand, let alone 13 billion years. My goodness, that is quite a big difference. Let's see. No, it's not the big bounce. It's a cyclical, more complex. Can't explain it here, really. That's fine. You can put like a link to it or something in the Discord. That's totally cool. With the CMB, you think there'd be a huge difference between blue and red, but it's really truly a tiny difference in temperature. Yes, these are like, it's like negative. It's 3 and like within a few decimal points of 3 Kelvin. So these are not huge. It's not like, oh, it's 0 degrees Celsius versus 100 degrees Celsius. It's nothing like that. Yeah, definitely. So based on our current understanding of the universe, it will continue to expand, and then it cools down, and then it is the death of heat. That is kind of how you want to think about this. When I try to explain heat death to the students, again, we're not getting into physics. This is not a physics class, so we don't get into that. But when we're talking about heat death, some of the students think that everything will die because the universe gets too hot, and that's not how we want to think about it. We're not dying from heat. It's sort of the death of heat. And so, of course, when that happens, that means that particles are just not moving anymore. So this would be, if you guys are familiar with the term absolute zero, this is 0 on the Kelvin scale, where just there's no movement of any electrons or any atoms or anything. It just stopped. So there's no way to generate any heat. I guess you can consider it the big freeze if you want. Our previous idea, I think this was proposed and then disproven rather quickly in the 90s, if I remember correctly, was the big crunch. This idea that gravity, or that the acceleration from the expansion was going to slow down, and then gravity would bring everything back down together as that point, and then perhaps expand again. But then we found out that we're actually accelerating away from each other. So it's not like the expansion is slowing down like you'd expect and then going to come back, but it's actually speeding up as it moves away. So yeah, eventually that's going to be the end. So we don't know how long that'll take. We can kind of, I mean, we'd have to know what's all contained in the universe. I think we'd have to be a better understanding of that before we can start making predictions about the when this heat death would happen. Classic rocks. Sorry, I just thought of igneous rock. Nice. Let's see. Heat death means all matter decays to radiation. Let's see. And classic rock was in the 50s. Me at 11. 30 years ago was the 50s. Just wow. Right. The expansion partly contributed to the theory about dark matter. Yes, so there, the other thing too was that the idea of the big crunch was used a lot for people that tried to cite, for example, scientific miracles in the Quran, because it says that Allah has opened and then will close the universe like a book. But that they were like, oh, see the big crunch, that's totally true. Obviously this was inspired by Allah, but it's not the case here. Let's see. Hold it. We are very unpopular and everyone is accelerating away from us. Yes, from any point everything is accelerating away from you. So in the meantime, between the heat death and the Big Bang, right, we're gonna have gases and stuff coming together. They interact, they heat up, and this is what we have for stars. Okay. So stars are creating new elements. You guys probably know that. They are basically like a huge atom smashing machine. Do you guys know the sun is a massive incandescent gas by They Might Be Giants? Do you guys know that song? Yeah, gases in space. Right. But do you guys know that song? I don't know if anyone's heard it. I would recommend it. Maybe I should post it. The sun, and then I'll post it later in the Discord. Please remind me. Is a mass. Yeah, I'll just whatever. I'll do it later. Theists always reinterpret religious publications to be explaining facts about science after the fact. Yes, that's true. So that is one of the problems with it. If this was a scientific miracle, we would have been able to understand more about the universe from this early on, so we wouldn't have had to wait so long. Yeah, TMBG, yes. Okay, good. I'm not the only one. It's really good. It talks about it, and it's a very good thing. So it's the sun is a massive incandescent gas, a gigantic nuclear furnace where hydrogen is built into helium at a temperature of millions of degrees. The sun is hot. The sun is not a place where we could live, but here on Earth there be no life without the light it gives. And then we need its light, we need its heat, the sunlight that we need. The sunlight comes from our own sun's atomic energy. And then it kind of gives these stats about the sun. Like the sun The sun is large. The sun is so large that 1,000,000 Earths could fit inside. You know, the sun is far away, about 93 million miles away, and that's why it looks so small. But it kind of goes through that, yeah. Um, they should make a prequel to Istanbul. Previously, Constantinople was Byzantium. Yeah, exactly. Heard the Galaxy song by Monty Python. I don't know if I've heard that. If I have, I don't know it by that name. But like us, you know, stars eventually die. And they can send out their new elements that they had made. And sometimes this will make stuff like comets, asteroids, new stars. Comets, by the way, they're icy, okay, but it's not like a hot star made this ice. But they're making, things like hydrogen or not making hydrogen, but they're making oxygen, and of course that with hydrogen will make the water. So asteroids and new stars, and this is sort of just like how stars are created. I am a big fan of the Crab Nebula myself. I don't know. Does anybody have a favorite nebula? Let's see. Already YouTubing Monty Python. Oh dear. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Share that on the Discord for sure. So does anybody have a favorite nebula? While you guys are doing that, I'm gonna have some ginger tea. Nice and spicy ginger tea. The Eagle Nebula, that's a good one. I mean, they're all good, aren't they? Okay, so the Pillars of Creation, those to me look like these ants' nest things that those anteaters destroy. I think that's another reason why I get so upset. We were talking about anteaters in the previous class for those that aren't there, or those that don't know what we're talking about. Let's see. You don't have a favorite one. Is that because they're all wonderful? I agree. And of course, we've got our good friends, the planets. If you guys need any help with how the planets came together, let me know. Basically, particles of dust stick together, get bigger. Over time, they coalesce into these planets, which is pretty cool. We were able to actually test this by taking salt just into space and then letting it out of a bag, and then it starts to stick together. It like comes together just as we had predicted it would, so it's pretty cool. Let's see. The Anteater Nebula. That one we can destroy. Let's see. The Orion Nebula, because it was one that I discovered myself. That is not a star while looking at it with the binoculars. Cool. A neutron star is formed when a huge star dies and collapses on itself, fusing electrons and protons together to create neutrons. They're so dense, a teaspoon of neutron weighs 20 billion pounds. Yes. So the neutron stars are... I guess there's like these jokes you can make about the neutron stars that I've heard people make. But yes. Yeah, the Pillars of Creation is part of the Eagle Nebula. Yes, it is. I wonder if your rage is equally directed towards our friend the Aardvark. No. No, it's not. They look like little piggies. They're okay. There are 9 planets in the solar system. So what is a planet? If we're going to go and talk about Pluto, what is a planet? How do we define a planet? You guys know the definition of a planet. And why Pluto got demoted. Okay. Well, I know you're saying it is a planet, but that doesn't help us define what a planet is. Right? Pluto was never demoted. Oh, okay. Perhaps in your... Are you having like an alternate history going on? All around or just Western science? Oh, yeah. There are modified, like our updated explanation of what a planet is. Yeah. That's in science, right? Because a planet has been it's been a lot of different stuff in the past. Yeah, that's a good thing to clarify. Okay, a body that orbits the sun, a round object, because its gravity can clear its orbit of smaller objects. Hydrostatic equilibrium cleared its orbit, orbits the sun, cleared its orbit. Okay, so yes, we want to make sure it cleared its orbit, and that its gravity is such that stuff can orbit it. It doesn't have to. Okay, so for example, Mercury doesn't have a moon, it doesn't need one, right? We have a moon, and that's fine. Um, you know, Mars has a couple moons. Jupiter is very greedy. It's got a bajillion. Okay, cool. We'll talk about that. That's fine. The issue with Pluto and its moon is that it appears that they both orbit this like midpoint between them, and that's the problem. If the moon had orbited Pluto, no problem. It's a planet. It's small, but it's a planet, right? It's the one doing the main stuff, and we got this guy orbiting around it. But the problem that is with Pluto is it we don't know which one of them is supposed to be the planet and which one's the moon, because there's a space between them and they appear to be orbiting that space between them, right? So it's not one of them as the main mass monster, I guess, being orbited. So that's my understanding of why Pluto was demoted. So it's not so much the size, but it's the fact that it didn't have enough mass to be the main body there with things orbiting it. It's that it and its other main body, they're kind of fighting for it. So I guess you can call it a dual planet system, whatever you want to call that. But it's not like a planet like we would describe the rest of the planets. Yeah. Did Mercury clear its orbit on its own, or did the sun do most of the work? I mean, I think Mercury, I feel like Mercury, it's just there and the sun just does whatever it wants. It's like that partner in your group that doesn't do anything and the sun is like the one doing all the work. You know, it's like it doesn't maintain any type of heat or whatever. It's just whatever heat the sun gives or doesn't give. You know, that's it. It wants to have an atmosphere, but the sun keeps kicking it off. It's like, you know, whatever you want to do, sun. That's kind of how I see it. Let's see. To be fair, neither has the Earth. In what way? What way? So our moon was created when a Mars-sized planet called Theia. Yes. So I'm not sure if I had included that or if that was actually part of a video that I showed the students, but yes. So while we were still molten and not solid, basically, we got hit, and part of that had meshed into the Earth. Another part of it had come off and become our moon, which is pretty cool. Let's see. Maybe we should remove Jupiter's planethood because the sun and Jupiter orbit a center that's sometimes outside of the surface of the sun. We should also just see what it is. Also, Shogol had mentioned that there were 10 planets that were listed in like Sumerian mythology. Are you talking about, oh my gosh, Nibiru? Is that was the name of it? I also heard that it was the original Earth's core. Possibly, but I think it's the surface rock. So that lighter rock that had floated to the surface while the Earth was still molten, that's going to be what the moon is. So the moon rocks and the surface of the Earth rocks, they are very, very, very similar in structure. Neil deGrasse Tyson calculated the weight of Thor's hammer, believing it made of a neutron star. But he had to issue an apology because it was forged in a neutron star, but that did not make it from neutron star matter. Yes, see, that's true. I mean, true in the world of it, right? The nerd community hammered him for his mistake. How do I give a student an F for the day on YouTube? So, new technology, it's pretty cool. Do you guys know about how we find these exoplanets? If you don't know, I will get into it a little bit more, but there's like a brief explanation we can go through as well. So we can easily see other stars, not so much other planets, but we can measure the brightness of a star. And if that brightness dims a bit, that means something had passed in front of it. And we know that planets orbit stars, and so this appears to be like a planet. So we're able to actually figure out a bit about the speed of the orbit, the size of the planet. So it's actually really, really cool. So if you guys are interested in it, you can just look up some YouTube videos about how to find exoplanets. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Today you asked how to give an F, but when I did it, I got like 3 in one class. No, you probably did it 3 times. Okay, do not challenge the teacher. No, I'm just kidding. You can't issue an F for dad jokes. That's against the Geneva Convention. My goodness. When they transit their host star, it gets dimmer. Right. Okay, so you guys are familiar with that. Awesome. I haven't heard the collision theory. Didn't know it was still current science. Yes. It is still current science. Was the first transit thing how we found the first exoplanets? Yes. So right now we don't really have a way to really check them out. But we're able to tell a lot about them. And I guess the ones that are the most common that we found are gaseous planets near the star. And so their nickname is a hot Jupiter. They're really big gas planets, and they're right next to the sun. So it's kind of, or their sun. So it's pretty cool. So that's this. We found some that are similar to Earth. So that's also pretty cool. What does that mean? You know, what lives there? So that's exciting. I think it's super, super exciting. Because, like, does this make your brain, like, get very excited? Because whenever I talk about this for my class, I always get very animated, and the students just kind of look at me. Occasionally there's a student that's also a giant nerd, but it's just me. And I like how my voice cracked when I said giant nerd. We've managed to photograph at least one Jupiter-sized exoplanet. It's really cool. Exobiology. Yeah! So, excellent stuff. Hopefully that science fiction job will be a real job someday. It's pretty cool. If you know the reason why an object with mass cannot travel at the speed of light, I would like to know. I know the law, but I don't know the why. Yeah, I think you would have to ask somebody with more of a background in physics for that. The physics and stuff that I did in school was more related to like statics and dynamics for like engineering stuff, like on Earth. So yeah, somebody that has more of a background in that. I would recommend asking the Discord. There's a lot of people with different backgrounds there for sure. I don't like to talk about stuff if I don't know what I'm talking about, so I don't want to say, well, I think I heard this one thing one time and I guess we can kind of guess and blah. I don't want to mislead anybody. And also I hate the idea of a teacher pretending they know everything. It's okay to admit you don't know everything. Nobody expects you to know everything. Exobiology is a real job. It's just studying something that hasn't been proven to exist. Yes. I was hoping that you guys understood what I meant about like actually being able to go do the job, but perhaps I had phrased it incorrectly. The TRAPPIST system is probably pretty poor for life. It might be, but we don't know, right? We're just getting some of this information now. You know, has it made any changes since the time it had sent out this information and now? Do you know what I mean? Let's see. Yeah, Norsvas, I know, who was asking? I know Sean knows that it can't travel at the speed of light, but I think that Sean is asking, why not? Like, can we explain it more than just the, like, how that works? I mean, we have the equation, but based on how that works, can you, like, try to give an example or try, just sort of walk us through that? And so, again, you might want to use the Discord for that. Just because it'll take probably a little bit more explanation than this kind of allows, yeah. There's a universe simulator on stream called Space Engine, good learning tool. Yeah, very cool. I think the legacy version is still free too. Fantastic. We don't know, but the star is not great. The planets are close, so they affect each other with a lot of gravity, stuff like that. It's an awesome system, but probably not full of life. It might not be full of life as we know it. That's the issue. Remember, we have evolved for our planet's conditions. So assuming they had the same conditions that had sparked life, whatever that is, or that life was seeded intentionally or accidentally, it would evolve for that system, right? So it would evolve based on what's there, the type of gravity, just like we have, we evolved for this level of air pressure, whereas animals that live on the bottom of the Marianas Trench, for example, have evolved based on that type of level of pressure. The blobfish would be a good example of an animal that has a different pressure evolution. And I know that's not the same as gravity, but I was hoping that might help sort of explain it in a way that makes sense. Because, I mean, obviously our gravity is going to be very similar. All right. So this is us. Okay. So this is our local supercluster, local group, Milky Way galaxy. I like how it says the solar system's not to scale, as if somebody would have used this as a map. And then there's Earth. Okay, having a good time. Let's see. There's some far out theories out there about there could be forms of life in stars. I mean, sure, you know. I mean, what's stopping that, right? It's nothing that we could survive, but why would that bar some other type of life from living there? The Earth was seeded by Plutonians, and now they have tried to make us forget that they exist. It all makes sense now. I feel like you're getting very close to the planet Nibiru. What is it? Not Akhenaten. Anunnaki stuff. Like, with this on accident, Ratza. Some flat earthers would use that to scale. I'm not sure they understand scale. So perhaps they would kind of put everything very closely together. So if you're trying to use, like, send a package outside of our local supercluster, you want to write all of this in there. And then once you get to Earth, you're going to get to your country and then city and all of that stuff. Okay, good, great. So this is a video. It kind of shows how stuff had coalesced and become the solar system that we have today. You guys can find those videos definitely on YouTube. That's where I had just got them from. So what about our planet? So just some basic vocabulary. Rotation is this, okay? Rotating along its axis. Revolution is an object that's going along another thing, and an orbit is the path, okay? So it's like you're running around a track for exercise, okay? You're making one revolution around the track. The track is your orbit. That's how you guys can think about it. The runner and the sidewalk. Okay. And of course, day. Okay, I know these are very basic, but of course, it's one of those things where we all know what it means, but it might be hard to put into words. So this is the time it takes a planet to complete a full rotation, and we typically measure these in Earth hours for other planets. Okay. And then a year is just the time it takes for one complete revolution, or one full orbit is how we can also phrase it, measured in Earth days. Okay. So we got the rocky planets and our gaseous planets. I'm going to check the chat real quick. Do we have a good definition of life, given that we only have one example? Right. Yeah, not sure, because it doesn't necessarily have to move. I think that would be a better question for a biologist. I'm trying to think of what I had heard about it, though. It had something to do with I don't know. Basically, we're just a bunch of bags of chemistry. That's it. So if you've got a bag of chemistry, is that life? Yeah, I mean, why not, right? So the sun goes out during the night. It does not. It does not. It just hangs out, and we rotate. Okay. Let's see. The quick and easy answer is not a clear definition. Okay. When I first looked at our solar system in actual scale, I was surprised how far apart each planet is actually from the sun. Yes. Between some of the planets, too, you can actually fit the rest of the solar system. So that's kind of how far they are away from each other for some of the planets. It's pretty amazing stuff. There are planets tidally locked, which means one side is always facing the host star, and the other one is always has night on the other side. Right. Ugly bags of water, ugly bags of chemistry. Maybe that's us. So these are our rocky planets. That includes Pluto in this picture. You're welcome, Ratza. Look at the big difference, though, between Earth and Mars. They always say, oh yeah, it's like our neighbor and it's really close inside, and you just kind of forget. No, Earth and Mars are quite different. Earth and Venus, yeah. Earth and Venus are pretty cool. And you probably have heard in the past that perhaps in the long ago, Venus was likely very similar to Earth and it had a runaway greenhouse effect. So Venus's current state could be our future. But I mean, if we're trying to move to Mars, y'all, let's just fix Earth first, because this is pretty difficult. Pretty difficult for us to all cram our butts on there, right? All right. Let's see. Will Earth burn if it gets a few centimeters closer to the sun? No, no. It's our orbit is not a perfect circle, so we get we get a lot closer than just a few centimeters throughout the year. Yeah. The universe is custom just for us. No. I calculated the scale of the largest star we found. If the sun is the size of a basketball, the star is a mile in diameter. Yeah, it's... There's one, I forget what it was called, but they had like this little example of a plane flying around it and just how long it would take just to do a circumnavigation. And that, it's just amazing. You know, we think our sun is so big and it's not. Venus looks like it has some killer beachfront property. Yes, very killer. So Mercury, of course, is the Roman messenger. Look how pathetic Mercury is compared to the sun. Let's just make fun of Mercury. This is Mercury shaming class, okay? I mean, look at this pathetic little dot. Would you even, like, barely would consider this a planet, right? It's just like, what is this? What is this? You know, it's just, what is it? What's it doing there? Mercury is pretty, yeah, pretty nuts. Okay, this is to compare the size to Earth. It does kind of look like the size of our moon almost, right? It's a pretty little baby. Okay, and for those of you that were really into Sailor Moon, maybe you'll have a lot of flashbacks from these slides, because we're gonna check out the symbols that we have attributed to these planets based on their Roman god names. So these day lengths, you know, they're gonna be like 58 days. So actually, the length of the year is like it's not even 2 days long, right, for 1 year. So it's kind of an interesting concept. 2 Mercury days long. Let's revel in the glory that is the sun, in reference to Mercury. I know, right? Largest star in the universe that we know of is UI Scuti, 1,700 times the size of the sun, according to a quick Googling. Fantastic. The Goldilocks zone is pretty wide. It is. We also have to remember that what's most comfortable to us doesn't necessarily mean not inhabitable, you know? We don't want to live in freezing cold Siberia, but we could survive, you know what I mean? Let's see. Does anybody... Oh my gosh, Sailor Mercury hair, don't I? That's it. Alright, that's perfect. We're done with this video. The average temperature is not the average temperature. Okay? The average temperature is the sunlight side and the no sunlight side. It's not like every day in the middle of the day the average temperature is this. The sunlight side is really hot, the no sunlight side is really cold, and the average temperature is a misnomer in this case. Can you imagine that? You're just like, man, it's so hot, I'm gonna go to the shade, and then you just freeze. Not a good time. No moons. You are 38% of your Earth weight. So these are all just going to be kind of trivia things. We can kind of go through them. All right. But there's a bonus at the end of each one. So Mercury has the most craters of any planet in our solar system. Any guesses why? Is it that Mercury rotates the wrong way too? I know Venus rotates... No, I think it's just Venus that rotates opposite from the rest of us. So the sun, if you're on Venus, the sun will rise in the west. Mercury's sunlight requires a 10,000 sunblock, yes. I think a lot of people with very light skin would also appreciate the 10,000 sunblock. So why would we have so many craters, though? It's like, oh, bonus fact, but why? Why do we have this? Okay, that's one reason. The surface does not circulate like the Earth's crust. Right, we're not getting plate tectonics action. A lot of the stuff that has happened to our planet in the past has just kind of been recycled because of the plate tectonics, or it's just underwater at this point. Are there any divots due to exposure to the sun's heat and solar flares? Not to my understanding, but there's a lot of course, bleaching, right? Removing any of the color that this would have had. And also burning off any type of atmosphere. So any gases that try to collect here, the solar winds just burn those gases right off. Yeah. Is it that it doesn't have an atmosphere that erodes the craters? I think if that was going to happen, the sun's the sun's solar winds will definitely affect that for sure. But yeah, that's another reason that could be. Perhaps the peaks might be more prominent because there's not like a bunch of wind erosion or something on there. And the craters from impacts, yes. But why does this have so many impacts? Any ideas? Okay, so one of the reasons there's because of no atmosphere, there's nothing to burn up the meteors. Okay. No large gas giants close by to catch asteroids. It's actually the opposite. The sun is the gas giant that's sucking in those asteroids, and they're slamming into this poor little sucker. Okay, so that's why it got. So not only is it unable to recycle the land that has been hit with plate tectonics, and not only does it not have enough of an atmosphere to break down any of these bits of meteors, but also the sun is like, hey everybody, come on in, and Mercury's like, no. So this poor little Mercury. So that's not a good time. But I like that you mentioned that, Signostic, because we are going to talk a bit about our good friend Jupiter saving us from a lot of these asteroids. So we are very lucky. It's really kind of like our protector. Venus, of course, is named for the Roman goddess of love. And again, very similar to us. Okay. Also, by the way, just because I'm in Korea, this is, oh my gosh, why do I just, like, you know when you're gonna say something and then it just disappears from your brain. So these planets are named after, very similarly to the days of the week. So there's, Su, Gum, then us, and then, Hua, so we'll talk about this, but Su means water. And this is, I'm very sad that this one's water. This one is named after gold. Gun. Okay, so that's Hwasong. That's what it is. Okay, Gun Hwasong. So Hwasong is like the planet. So this is the water planet and the gold planet. It makes sense. It looks gold, right? That's going to be the symbol. And the day, again, it's like you can't even really get 2 days in compared to that year. So it's kind of interesting. Imagine going to school, right? It's the hottest planet in our solar system. Why is it hotter than Mercury? It's hotter than Mercury, but it's the second. Mercury's like right there. It's like next to the sun. So why is Venus so gosh darn hot? Would there be any way to land anything on Mercury to have scouting missions? When you talk about scouting, I feel like you're talking about humans that are there. I guess I mean, if I was going to try to create something, I would create a way for us to land maybe on the darker side of Mercury and try to deal with the extreme cold. I think that would be safer than trying to deal with staring right at the sun for a number of reasons. Yeah. Let's hope the Chinese have some ideas on how to get up something up there. Yeah. It's the thick atmosphere. That's right. These are the alchemical symbols, but they're related to the gods. Yeah, so this was related to the god Mercury, also known as Hermes, and same here, Aphrodite. Yeah, but they are also alchemical symbols too. But yes, so that atmosphere makes a big difference. Traps that heat in there for sure. No moons again. You're pretty much the same weight basically, and this is kind of the bonus fact. I mean, to me, it's super cool. Russia sent a few probes to Venus. They had this program during the Cold War called the Venera program. And they basically would just send stuff there that just supposed to send back as many pictures as it can until it dies. I think the longest that one of them lasted was like 2 hours. And I think the shortest one lasted, other than crashing and just being just nothingness on impact, I think it was 10 minutes was the shortest one. Maybe it was 10 minutes to 120. Yeah, 2 hours. So, pretty cool. Thank you, Russia. But yeah, they sent these probes there, and it was like they just had to send back as many images as they could before it either melted or burned away from acid or just heated up too much and just, well, I guess melted would be the word, right? It's the greenhouse effect, yes. Don't mean humans, mean probes and machinery. I would definitely send it to like the other, like the dark side, but I feel like we have sent a probe. Have we sent a probe? Let's find out. I thought we did. I thought we were planning it, or we sent a probe. Am I misremembering? Probe to Mercury. I feel like we sent one. Not prove Mercury. Yeah, Mariner 10 that have made close observations. Okay. Messenger was the first probe to orbit Mercury. So it looks like we've just been sending stuff there to orbit it, but nothing's landed so far. But again, I would try to land it on the cold side. That's just what I would try to do. Russia also had the first cosmonauts. Right, exactly. Venus's atmosphere is hot enough to melt lead. Yes. It's just sort of like if you stepped out into Venus's atmosphere, you know, which one would happen first? Would you burn? Would your lungs burn? Would you be crushed? Would you be like melted with acid because of the acidic atmosphere that they have? Yeah, it's just like which way do you die? It's like rolling a dice, you know. Let's see. Yeah, Monk, you're late. You're extra late. That's okay. We still have about half of the PowerPoint-ish. Yeah, so we'll still give you some points today. Greenhouse gases making climate hotter is a myth. Also, vaccines cause autism. And biological evolution is a myth perpetuated by the scientific community because they hate God. Now, Sean, I know you're joking, but I'm glad that you posted that because I know you're joking. Yeah, but unfortunately there are some people that do have these mistaken beliefs. Yeah, oh, okay, so it's right there. Thank you. So I was right. 10 and 120 minutes. But yeah, we got these cool images. Look at that, just yellow. Just yellow. That's it, you know, just straight yellow. We've been able to capture some other images since then, not from these landing probes, but from orbits and stuff, so it's pretty cool. So we got some of these images like that. Lots of volcanic activity. It's pretty neat. Earth, of course, is our heavy populated one. It's the one that's got the biggest population of humans, okay? That's a lovely picture of almost everybody on Earth in that photo. This is our symbol, okay, by the way. So we got that. Cool. Let's see. Cool images, any color. Yeah, it's pretty helpful. I did have to explain to one of my students that a lot of the images, when we get the images sent back to us, we have the information for the RGB values, but the actual images that come back to us are black and white, and then we put the RGB values on there artificially. So if anyone's going to say, oh, those images are photoshopped, I mean, technically, but it's with the information we have. It's not so much photoshopped as much as it's like a puzzle you put together, you know. So here's some pieces, you have to assemble it, you know. Color photography, some assembly required kind of thing. Yeah, that's our... I find our symbol so boring, don't you? So our average temperature, it's kind of fun, 14.9 degrees Celsius. The highest recorded was in California, I believe Death Valley, and then the lowest recorded in Antarctica. Okay, good times. Let's see, that's true. I read it on the Google. Earth has the largest populations of humans and gray wolves in our entire solar system. There is a correlation there, Sean. Perhaps. Of course, we got our one moon. Okay. So you guys know about this cool not to scale. Okay. But doesn't that sun look like pretty awesome, right? The sun looks great. So the iron core moving around is pretty cool, makes our magnetic fields, and that's what helps us not get all of our goodies stripped away. And then on that weak point on the poles, some of that radiation getting in, that's why we have the aurora borealis and the aurora australis. So The light in the north and the light in the south, literally, is what it means. Lowest temperature was 95 below. The scientists that took that had all kinds of gear. When was this? When was this? Because I mean, if it was in the last year. No, I think I double checked it this year. When was this? Earth is the only planet to win all the Miss Universe awards. Yeah, the image is fake, but look at the sun. I don't see any flames or blue lines. Exactly. Thank you, guys. Surprisingly, California had the highest record temperature, and from there the weather is rarely extreme. We're talking about Death Valley. That's all. Death Valley. Bassam Zawadi. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely check it out. Let's see. Unlike the other planets, we don't use the Roman god names for the Earth or the Moon. We do use Latin in science fiction. So this is Terra and Luna. But we also sometimes use Greek, which is Gaia and Selene. And in fact, if you want to be a geographer of the moon, you are a selenographer. So it's not geography, it's selenography. It's cool, right? Isn't that cool? It's cool. I like it. So Mars was named after the Roman god of war. Why? Does anyone know why? In Korean, this is Hwayul. Also, we are Jigu. Okay. All right. Again, it's not very good comparing the size. Okay. That is our symbol for Mars. Let's see. In QI, they have a bit of running total, the number of moons around Earth. There's apparently a moon. Interesting. I will have to check that out, yeah. Anyone notice that the Earth's tilt is different? What do you mean? In which way? Brad F. Don't do this, Brad. Aren't you Sean? No, you're not Sean. Oh, no. Uh-oh. I gotta keep... I thought you were making some joke about the faked planets and stuff. Let's see. Yakutsk in Siberia just had -70, which froze a bunch of animals in a standing position. Oof. Can you imagine that? Because it's red and that equals blood. Okay. So if you love a moon, you are a lunatic. No! So the lunatic thing was this belief that more crimes are committed during a full moon. And so the moon would cause temporary insanity. And that temporary insanity, or the insanity caused by the moon, was called lunacy. And the person was a lunatic. It's kind of fun. That's where that comes from. I guess you would be lunaphilic if you like if you love the moon. A lunaphile, perhaps. Yes, you're Sean. Yes. Your name, I don't have my glasses on. Like, these are big for me to read without my glasses because, you know, if I'm close to a migraine, I can't wear them anyway. So that's how they are designed, so I can read them. But I can't easily see the difference, like, visually quickly, between yours and Brad's profile picture. So because you were posting all this stuff, and I was like, oh, Sean, I know that you're not like some crazy, you know, you're saying all these crazy conspiracies. I thought you had changed your name as a joke so you could say these crazy conspiracies. That was the idea. The full moon insanity myth is still prevalent. It is. It's not true. You're right. It's a myth, but it is still prevalent. The idea that some people think it's that it's easier to commit a crime when you can see where you're going. Because, you know, it's hard to commit a crime on a new moon, right? So in the past, before we had all these extra street lights and stuff, people were doing things at night that were crimes. And so the crimes would increase on these days where it was just easier to see because of the full moon. That's the idea. That's how some people think it had become connected with, like, the moon and bad behavior, or the moon and crazy behavior, yeah. And it can be self-perpetuating, that's true, but I don't know. I think the only people that pay attention to the moon now are, like, dorks like some of us, and then, I don't know, Wiccans. So, by the way, it was a full moon yesterday, or tonight, I guess, for some of you. So it should be a full moon if you guys check out the window. I don't remember, but there were dead cats under cars that tried to keep warm. Oh, and some seed and some standing. It looked like it was hissing. I mean, I would be hissing too. If it was -70, I'd be hissing my way to death. Right? That's how I would freeze. Like, I'd be mad. I'd be so mad. That's the worst way to go, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I don't know if I'd rather. I mean, I wouldn't rather be burned or freeze, but if I had to be given the choice, at least burning is fast, especially if you breathe in all those like hot fumes right away. Cold, that takes a while. No, thank you. One of the nice things about if we had moved to Mars is that the length of the day is very similar, and the length of the year is very similar. So unlike the similarly sized Venus, where we at? Oh, I didn't include it. I thought I did. There it is. Okay. So the length of day is a little bit different, and of course the year is also shorter. All right. Okay. We got the tool moons. Okay, Phobos and Deimos, which are very irregular, and I like that. I like that character to these moons. Okay. A summer day, because we still have these lovely seasons here in Mars. We got 20 degrees C, but at the poles it's minus 125. So as you can also see, we still have ice at the poles, which is pretty cool. Good job, Mars. It's a nice time. And again, it's a lot different in comparison to the Earth in terms of density and size and stuff, so a lot lighter. So this is why we thought that it was like the war planet, because it looked like it was having this problem. Okay, from Earth, the orbit of Mars is funky. It like moves around and then it goes back and then it loop-de-loops. Okay, so we thought it was like a planet that was at war. You know, that it was just not able to easily go through the sky. It was wandering in a very haphazard looking kind of way. That actually would help us figure out that we weren't in the center, which is pretty cool. It's like, oh, well, this orbit makes more sense if the sun was in the center. So that was one of the things that helped us out with that. The tallest peak in our solar system is this, the Olympus Mons. It's one of those things where like it's so big, if you're on the side of it, you don't even know you're on the side of it. And it's an extinct volcano. So plate tectonics has ceased. Mars, as far as we can tell, used to have an atmosphere, perhaps when its iron core was still functioning. And when that, for some reason, stopped moving, we lost our magnetic field. We started having all of our atmosphere kind of ripped away, sort of like Mercury, and kind of left with what we have now. So yeah, there were active volcanoes. There's also active volcanoes on Venus. So there's active volcanoes. That's where a lot of those gases came from to make the atmosphere on Venus, is from those active volcanoes. It's pretty cool stuff. We talked about volcanoes in the last class and about people living next to volcanoes. Don't live next to the volcanoes on Venus. Just do not. Let's see. You missed this F student's comment, but when I grew up, I was taught Earth's foreign name was Tellus. Oh, that's interesting. Cold to be my last choice as a way to die. Watching Total Recall made me want to move to Mars. Yeah. I heard hypothermia can cause euphoria in its later stages before you lose consciousness. Yes. However, I don't want to get to that point. Like, that takes a while to get there. You know what I mean? Let's see. Oh wow, I didn't know about the loop-de-loop orbit. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Mars orbit is curious. The iron core is now dormant. It's now it just stopped moving. It's just done. Yeah. Did it cool off because it's smaller or older than the Earth? That's what they think. They think because of the size of Mars, it just didn't have enough of that pressure to keep the iron core liquid and moving for as long as it has for Earth. Will ours stop and freeze up or seize up? We don't know. It's exciting. Will some of the things survive? Yeah, I would be. If we would probably die, right? If we lost our atmosphere, sure. But what would live? I would say perhaps cockroaches and tardigrades. So at least something's going. Maybe I can't root for future humans, but I could root for future Earth life. So yeah, Earth life. One of the benefit of living next to the volcanoes on Venus is that the volcano probably won't kill you. That's true. That's true. Wait a minute, Lee. How tall is Olympus Mons? Don't leave us in suspense. Did I include an image? I should have included it. Yeah. I included an image. Good job. Good job, me. All right. So this is it. Yeah. So Mount Everest is hanging out at the end on the right, and then Olympus Mons. It's 22 kilometers tall. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And you can tell from the shape, it is a shield volcano. So because of that, we know that the lava was not super viscous. It wasn't very thick. So, cool. It's a fun time. Alright, gas giants. I'm sure there's some joke in there about, like, any of our grandfathers. You know what I mean? So just me and the boys chilling in the back of the solar system. You're welcome. I made this. Okay. No! What happened? Why did this die? This is ridiculous. Okay, so Jupiter... I mean, you know what Jupiter looks like. What happened? Oh, technology. Okay. So Jupiter is like 11 Earths in diameter. That's pretty cool. You know, thanks for flexing on us, Jupiter. All right. This is, again, if this is, you know, like... I really like Sailor Jupiter, so I'm very familiar with this symbol. I used to write my 4s like this on my homework and stuff when I was in high school and stuff because of Sailor Moon. So the days are really short, but the years are really long. So one day is about 10 hours, 10 Earth hours. Yeah, so it's interesting. Let's see. I mean, heat death will eventually stop eventually. Yeah, that's true. It's more than enormous. It's ginormous. You can jump into orbit from it. Yeah, you sure could. Insert fart jokes there, exactly. So the core might actually be up to 24,000 degrees Celsius, but the average temperature on the surface is actually quite cold. There is some speculation that Jupiter was a failed star. So if only it could have just gotten more. It's like... I feel like... What am I thinking? It's like when people... It's like if... the sun's size and mass could get it onto that show, My 600-Pound Life. Jupiter is like 500 pounds. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I could have got there if I got more mass. I don't know. So the number of moons, it's the most. It's got 79. As far as we can, you know, there are some other counts, but 79 is the one that I found the most common. And I made this as well, so feel free to enjoy it. So the other planets, don't you have enough moons? And then Jupiter, stealing more moons, okay? I love this little bunny. He's very angry. That's what happens if you take a picture of me eating. That's the picture you're gonna get. You know. So you're very heavy compared to your Earth weight, but that's, you know, assuming you could manage to stand on this gas giant, right? Has it been established whether Jupiter has a solid surface or not? When I was in school, it was liquid, possibly solid underneath. Liquid I actually hadn't heard. I had heard gas, and then gas, and yeah, I guess gas and possibly liquid. But all this stuff that I've heard about what could be on Jupiter and possible life that we could speculate on Jupiter and what type of life could survive on Jupiter, it's all under the assumption that Jupiter is just a bunch of gas. Yeah, with some kind of core. The core might be solid. I've heard that. But as far as anything that I've read recently about it that establishes it, no, I haven't read anything. I haven't read anything solid about it. Jupiter is not a failed star. I mean, like 70 times the mass of Jupiter for it to start fusion. I would say failed star then perhaps compared to everything else, everything else here. But that's just what some people are saying because of how hot the core is. But yeah, it would take a lot more than just like a little bit of mass. So perhaps the analogy was just kind of for fun. It wasn't supposed to be like proportionally that it was, you know, 5/6 of the way there or anything like that. Yeah. So definitely make sure that that's not what you guys take away from that. Let's see, all of that pressure must create a solid surface. Perhaps, right? Perhaps. So that's the perhaps. Because with the Earth, right, we go from a solid on the outside, liquidy, and then eventually we go solid, but then we go liquid again, right? So our core is liquid. So it depends, right? It just depends on what it is and so forth. I haven't seen anything solid about it. I see what you did there. Big solid F for me. See, but you're not giving me grades. That's the thing. I've often wondered what wider impact Earth would undergo living in a solar system with two suns. Crispy critters, I think, is the Latin term. We would just be, yeah, crispified, I think. Just if we had all the same positions, I don't think that we would be able to. But if it's something like us and then Pluto was a sun, that distance, then that would be interesting. So one of the bonuses, and I can't wait for this, so Europa has water ice on the surface. And we'll also talk about Enceladus, which is for Jupiter, but also it's going to have water ice, which is really cool. We have to emphasize water ice because ice, it's, could be like methane ice or something. Do you guys say methane or methane, by the way? So yeah, we have some ideas, and we're hoping to find life. Can you imagine if we break through that ice and then there's like fish and octopodes? That to me is really exciting because I really like octopodes, and if we could find those on other planets, I'd be very happy. I really like them. Aren't there binary star systems where planets orbit a number of 8 shaped around the host stars? Yes, but I think the person was just asking like how would things have changed. I thought if they were talking about Jupiter being the sun. But yeah, there are the binary star systems, and they get orbited in a weird way. Sometimes the suns also orbit each other, sort of that Pluto situation. So they're pretty funky. There's more than one way to build a solar system, which is really cool. Our moon is more of a failed planet than Jupiter, a failed star. Would you say our moon's a failed planet? But I know what you mean. I'm trying to think. If our moon... would any of them be close to that? Yeah. Make a joke about European fish, but no, right? Any life found outside of Earth would be the most significant find in the history of science, even bacteria. I agree with that. My only concern would be if we had any bacteria on the probe, and then we found it on the surface, and said, "Wow, we have the same bacteria on Earth." Whoops. So something like a fish. We can't accidentally take a fish with us into space and accidentally drop it on the surface. So something like that would be really cool. But yeah, something that's like a really different type of bacteria, really unique type of virus, yeah, that would be really cool. But then, how would you feel about it coming back to Earth? Do you think it could hurt us because it's so different? What do you think? Do you think there would be a higher chance? Well, I guess we wouldn't know, right? We can't even guess the probability. So how would you feel about it, though? Hey, we're bringing back this alien virus. Or this alien bacteria. How would you guys feel hearing that? Any life, let's see. I heard one teacher say at school that Saturn, it could rain silicone. That one I haven't heard. But Saturn's got a cool thing going, though. We'll talk about it when we get to Saturn. Widely believed that the moon debris from the Earth is from an enormous impact. Yes. I think we talked about that actually earlier in this this video. The only issue with fish is you would have to watch people observing it once it came back to make sure they didn't eat it. Oh man, I would be one of those people that would be like, well, I don't want to kill it, but man, what does it taste like? I can't wait for it to die naturally, because man, I'm gonna eat this thing. I would be one of those people. I would really want to eat it. Just to know what it tasted like, It'd be great, I think. I don't know. And then the problem is, what if you overcooked it? What if you did something and then, you went to the bathroom, but then you slipped and fell, and then it took you a second, and then you get back to the kitchen and you burned it. That would be the worst. Would you eat it raw? Would you have like Europa sushi or sashimi, because sushi is just the vinegar rice. You know, would you have this Europa sashimi? You know. I'm really frustrated with NASA. They don't really seem to do anything of significance, and every project they do gets delayed like 20 years. I believe SpaceX is the future of space exploration. Yeah, I agree with you. I really do. I really agree with you. Yeah. I was just hearing about, I think I said in the last video we just did, one of the, there's like three ultra rich folk that are taking a trip thanks to SpaceX into the ISS. It's cool. NASA is very underfunded, right? Which is kind of funny that like flat earthers believe that NASA has this huge reach, and it's like, can they even afford to like refill the drink machine? You know, that's what I mean. But then I think about the movie The Thing, right? Oh my gosh, The Thing. I'm thinking The Blob. I had like a nightmare about the Blob after watching it, and then I was just eaten by the Blob, but then no digestion happened. I was just eaten by the Blob, and I was just in the Blob. That was it. And it was just like being wrapped in a blanket, but I couldn't get out. That's what they often get very wrong in sci-fi. Alien life forms are so different, there's no way they could mate with us, infect us with their illness, or maybe even eat us. Yeah, but I think that that concept is kind of explained a bit in Prometheus, because wasn't the idea that they had created us from some of their DNA or something along those lines, so that's why we were so similar to the aliens when we found them. Europa, squid, gimbap, now that would be a big seller. Oh my gosh. Now I want sushi. I know. Especially when it's cold. I really like sushi when it's cold outside. Let's see. They do what they can with the little money they get, right? I would like to see space exploration become an American priority again. Do you think this will happen with this new president? Let's go ahead and go here. We know that this storm has been going for at least 300 years because when we were able to observe it with those telescopes, they noticed it. So we don't know how old this is, but it's hanging out. So that's cool. Just imagine being so big that your systems could support a 300-year storm. It's pretty intense. So we got a Titan named Saturn. Saturn was the guy that ate his kids, also called Kronos in the Greek. So, ate his kids. That's us, the little blue, versus Saturn. That's without the rings, obviously. Also, Saturn isn't the only one with rings. We'll talk about that in a second, too. It's got this funky H symbol, and again, we got one of those short days. These guys are just spinning around, aren't they? Spinning around super fast. Good job, gas giants. They're just racing over there. It's fun. Again, pretty low average temperature. They got a bunch of moons, and my favorite is Enceladus because it could have life. You know, water-based life anyway. Sure, this stuff explained in the Alien franchise. I mean, how that would work in the real world, right? The storm might be losing power and end. Yeah. You know, a French song about Saturn. I do not. When I saw the rings up close and that they were reflective rock, it changed my world. I was a little kid, my uncle blew my mind. Right. I think it's not, it's like they're just these little ice things. I think it's super cool, you know, having such a great time with like learning more about, I think every time we learn more about the planets, I'm never disappointed, you know, just never. I need a planet with 35-hour days. Why? What are you doing with your day that you need 35 hours? I feel like I would die. Now, it's not super dense, so even though it's super big, your weight actually doesn't change too much. And this is my favorite part of Saturn. There is a hexagonal storm at its North Pole. So it's spinning, and it's a hexagon. It's a good time. It's like when you get a D20 and you spin it, I guess, look down on it, you know. But yeah, it's cool. I think it's cool. It's based on something with the electromagnetism, and just how it's pulling on the storm. So it ends up with these flat sides that are pulled in these, or like these 6 points that are basically pulled, and so the sides are flat between them. Cool. Super cool. It's a good time. If I had 35 hours in my day, things I could complete, the sleep I could get. I have a sleep disorder, which makes me stay awake and sleep a lot longer. Gotcha. Well, cool. Maybe we'll find one for you. Okay. Uranus is the sky god. Oh, by the way, hang on. I guess I don't have to go back. So Jupiter is Moksong, which is like tree, and Saturn is, oh my god, Tosong. Okay, so that's Saturn. I forgot what that is. Is that a tree too? um, what is To? I don't know. You guys can look it up. Just look up Korean days of the week or something. So these are all different, right? But then these guys become the gods. So in Korean, this is Chamwongsong. So this is sky god planet. That's what it's called. Yeah. Not. I'm sorry. Hangsong by itself is planet. It's Gumsong Susong. Yeah, Gumsong Hwasong. Blah blah blah. If I had confused that earlier, I had not planned to include that information, so I didn't double check it. I do not make fun of anybody who misspeaks during live streams anymore. Or during videos, because you're thinking about one thing and somebody asks a question and you're trying to think about this other thing, and it just kind of, your brain has a hard time tracking these. It's like trying to keep straight, 3 or 4 different conversations at the same time. It's difficult. The hexagonal storm has been explained. Yeah, so you should YouTube it after stream. Definitely. I swear this dice pack is cursed. Which dice pack? What do you have? Did you just say D20 roll for initiative? They're all at school. Oh no. We have a D&D club. Pronounced Uranus like it's done in Latin. Uranus. Uranus? Is that Uranus? Uranus? Yeah. It's not the anus one. Okay. You can also see it's got this really pretty little ring that kind of goes this way around it instead of this way. So that's fun. And I like how it looks like there's one cloud there. That's a good time. And of course it looks sky blue, so the sky, that makes sense. It's actually not as big. When you hear gas giant, I would expect it to be bigger. It's just not. So it's kind of cool. It's got this, I know, you guys, I know. Because of that like the name with the anus and then the symbol. That's hard. That's a hard time. We got 17-hour day. Maybe that's my day. 17-hour day. It's the coldest planet in the solar system, which is pretty great if you like the cold. I guess this is where I would go to die from the cold, because when I get out, I would just like push, and I just freeze, and I'm done. Don't have to wait. Don't have to go through the, paradoxical undressing and all that stages of hypothermia nonsense, right? It's got 27 moons. They're very differently colored, which is fun, I think. Because it's like, oh, look at this beautiful blue, and then it's like a bunch of oranges. I just like that. It's just unexpected. And again, it's not very dense, so even though it's bigger than us, you actually weigh less. Okay? And it's got rings. Okay? It's not just one ring. It's got like layers of rings. There's the alpha ring and stuff. It's pretty cool. So let's see what you guys have said. Thank you, Dust Star, Soil Star. That's what it is. Soil. Thank you. You're a noose. Uranus. Oh my goodness. Goats should be Uranus' symbol. I mean, it practically is, isn't it? Lee, I'm dying. I mean, I hope you're dying because it was funny and not because you're in pain. Yeah, Tosong. Thank you. The Hubble telescope recently observed something. We're not going to finish that sentence. Sean also gets an F for the day. Pluto's the coldest. Ratsa, you're just Team Pluto over here, aren't you? Why is it blue? It has to do with the gases and why they reflect. It's like, why is the sky blue, right? It's just the gases that are reflected back based on the sun and just the type of gas it is. It's not to say that it's the same gases on Earth or anything. It's just the type of gas it is. That's all. That gave me enough rage for advantage on the initiative. That's good. That's good. So Neptune, it's that darker blue. And so this one, again, is also in Korean. It's named after the sea god planet. So it's oh my god, Haewong-sung, which I have to remember because Hae for Haebyongdae, which is for Marine Corps in Korean. So Haewong-sung is the one that I definitely have to remember. And again, it's not that big in terms of being a giant compared to Earth. I mean, yeah, it's bigger, but when I think giant, I think Jupiter. You know what I mean? And we got the cool trident symbol. You know, I mean, it's a good time. It's just a good design for a planet. Look at that. It's even got that little like. This should have been animated, but there's also a storm there. If you can see that dark blue dot hanging out, there's a storm hanging out. I mean, it's just a cool design. Okay. The core is mega hot on this guy. It's just a hot core, but on the outside it's pretty cold. It's got 14 moons and rings. I like how Hippocamp just kind of there. It's cool. It's how it remembers stuff, right? Yeah. I mean, well, what more do you want from this? I also like that the moons are not very, like they're quite oblate. It's a good time. It's a good time. And it is, denser, definitely, than, what's it called? Our good friend Uranus. Okay. So that's it. This lemon just ruined my GPA. You don't get an F for the class. You just get an F for your participation points today. But if you turn your homework, don't worry, it offsets it. I really love Jupiter's North Pole storms too. It's like Brownie in motion, supersized. Rats, have you played? No, you guys are asking this question. I don't have friends, okay. Let's see. Did you know you can fit 63 Earths in the sky god planet? Careful. Why doesn't Neptune's core temperature reach out to the other layers? My guess, and again, you gotta ask like a cosmologist or something. My guess is just that it would be very insulating gases. That's all. So they just kind of insulate against it. It's got the strongest winds in the solar system. Look at this thing. Just like, boom. Look at that. It's like a day is, 17 hours or something here, but this is just whipping around as fast as it can. It's intense. And again, like I mentioned, it does have that storm, so it's really cool. It's got like everything. I love it. It's got a nice color. The symbol is really cool. It's the trident. It's got the weird looking moons, and it's got the rings. It's got the storm. It's got the hot core. I mean, it's really got everything you need. It's got everything. That's why I like it so much. It's nice. It's a nice planet. It's got everything. I think it's great. Other cool stuff in our solar system. Let's see, Miss Lemon, your stream is interesting, but I don't know what it's for, why it was created, and why you ended up on my YouTube suggested. I don't know either. I don't know why I was suggested to you. But it's part of it is for the students that need help, like students, actual students. Part of it is for just general education stuff. The other part of these videos, they're live streams because I found out that a lot of y'all are feeling very, very lonely during this pandemic time. That's why. So, you say it's really interesting. That's why it's here. It's just for fun, having a chat, learn about space and stuff. Why not? The other videos are about, like conspiracy stuff, religious stuff. We're gonna do more about health and mental health and that kind of stuff. Just a general kind of education stuff that's interesting that I thought was interesting and I'm sharing. That's all. Let's see. How realistic is the ending battle? I don't know this thing, and I'm not gonna try to read it because sometimes you guys make me read stuff and then it's like it comes out really bad. All hail the algorithm, right? Let's see. Summer, you're saying yes, you are. Maybe that's how maybe that's how I was recommended. Maybe you were following me before. Maybe that's why. I had to revamp my channel. You asked if I have any of my actual students in here. Possibly. One of my students had found the old channel. And so I just thought, I've been wanting to revamp it for a while, so gave me a kind of a reason for it. Let's see. I would have made you read the Silly Millie. That's what we're saying. I'm not even gonna do it anymore, Ratza. The Silly Millie. So, okay, we got Pluto. Ratza, Pluto. Pluto for Ratza. Okay. It's here. It's got a heart. It's lovely. It's a good time. Okay. When Earth finally returns your calls, but it's only to tell you you're no longer part of the planet club. That's how I feel like Pluto felt. So it's now part of like this dwarf planet. Friends, I guess. It got like moved into another class, and it's got to make new friends and stuff. So we've got, like Haumea, Makemake, Eris. Okay, but look at this: 2007 or sub 10. That's a planet that got no love right there. Let's rename it. What are we gonna rename it? That's sad. That's sad. It's like when you finish, you got like your 10th kid. You're just like, man, I don't even care. We'll just call him baby for a while. You know what I mean? I feel so bad. Like Pluto, it's like, don't worry, Pluto, we still love you. We're just gonna reclassify you. That's all. And Pluto's like, oh, okay. And it goes, it's like, hi, what's your name? Aries. What's your name? I'm Makemake. What's your name? 2007 OR sub 10. Like, oh man, they lied to me. Earth lied to me. I'm not reclassed. I'm forgotten. That's how Pluto's feeling right now. Sad, sad Pluto. Is atheism a scarlet A in South Korea? No. The largest group is atheist. Something like 48% last time I checked. But the type of Christianity they have here is like that super evangelical type. But that is not, like, the second largest group is Buddhism, So. Umbra. That's cool. But I didn't see Umbra here. Oh, we're just gonna rename it Umbra, the Shadow. Telling Pluto he's adopted, but we still love you as if you're one of our own. Here, go hang out. And go play with 2007 OR sub 10. That's us. Okay. Yeah, Forgotten, the OR in 2007. Oh my goodness. What are we gonna rename this one? Let's have an OR. Like, Orville Redenbacher. That's his name now. That's it. It's the popcorn guy. Alright, this is the popcorn planet. Orville Redenbacher. That's its name. You're welcome, OR. Now you have it. Did you guys see the Royal... No. Rushmore. And so I just thought of that, like... The main character, Max, he doesn't like this guy that his crush is dating, and his crush is his teacher. It's very strange, right? So, his crush's date is this, like, person that's like a medical person, that's like an adult, And so, he's like, I like your nurse's uniform, guy. He's like, these are OR scrubs. And Max says, oh, are they? It's just very stupid. It's very stupid. I do recommend watching it, but it's a very fun but very stupid movie. I love it. Orville Redenbacher, that was some great popcorn, wasn't it? Eris is the goddess of discord. Kind of want an African name because it feels like very few space objects have African names. That's true. Let's find like a word like Swahili for red, because it's pretty red, right? It's a red looking planet, dwarf planet. Let's see if we got. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's call it. Let's do red. Okay. Cool. And then, how about Swahili? Nyakundu. Okay, that's cool. Nyakundu. Or we can try Afrikaans. Urui. I don't know. We'll probably get some... I don't know. Afrikaans is not... I mean, it looks like there's, like, English letters, but that's not always the case. So I like Nyakundu. That's cool. So that's its name now. Okay. Somebody tell science that we renamed it. Okay. Hello, science. Yes, we've renamed this sad planet that nobody cared about. Cool? We're cool. Alright. So that's it. Nyakundu. That's it. I kind of want sub-Saharan Africa. Oh, okay. What Swahili's not good enough for you, huh? Okay, fine. Let's find one that... because, I mean, a lot of these languages in that region, they're like English and French and stuff. Shosha. Where are the Shosha people again? Is that what we're looking for? Oh, Sudanese. Let's do that. Boiroim, which is probably mispronounced. I don't know. I'd like Nikundu. it's fun. I've bonded with this term. All right, so this one. Okay. Oh man, Swahili is sub-Saharan. I mean, it's like more south, right? It's like more south than that. It's like sub-Saharan. Uh, if we want like a sub-Saharan, we got Sudan. What do we got? We got no. I think that's the last one that's hanging out here. Macedonian, no. Maori, where's Wounded Monk? Last Wounded Monk. Yeah, let's just do that. Alright, so what do you think? What's better? Oh, Sesotho? But isn't that from South Africa? Or am I thinking Lesotho? Yoruba. Maybe Yoruba? Pupa. Like, is it pupa? Let's see what it says. Play. It doesn't allow it to play? Is it because they don't have the voice over for it? I mean, stained with blood, involving bloodshed or violence. Whoa. Maybe that's not what we want. We already got a bloody one, right? I love Nyakundu. That's a good time. If you're choosing something sub-Saharan, make sure it's South Sudan. Yeah, exactly. I want to avoid that, right? Because we got algebra. We got enough. You know? That's a big one, right? So we got the Kuiper Belt. I know it looks like Kuiper, but it's Kuiper, okay? So the Kuiper Belt is just like, it's a bunch of dust that hangs out, and some of the dust is big, some of the dust is not big, okay? That's kind of how you can think about it. So here's our sun in the middle, right? And then this is you cleaning up the outside, like your room when you're like 12 years old, and the Kuiper Belt is you shoving everything into your closet. And then there's that one thing you wanted to find later, which is Pluto, but you can't. You gotta dig through all this stuff you just shoved in your closet. Okay? Does that make sense? Some of the stuff is big in your closet, some of the stuff is small in your closet, but it's all there. It's just all the extra stuff that's not supposed to be on the floor, otherwise your parents will hit you. Okay? Does that help? Does that help? Yeah, Pupa, do you want another Uranus? Right, and I don't know if it's Pupa or Pupa, or Popa. So it didn't let us figure that out, right? Nick, let's see. Could be the African creator god. Well, yeah, but Africa's not like a country, right? It's not one African creator god. How did all those letters end up in the belt? Sean, you get your A reinstated. That's good. That's good. But yeah, does that help? This is all the stuff that goes in the closet. Okay. Kuiper Belt. Alright, we just cleaned the rocks there. Cool. I think that's the last one. It's the last one. Alright. That's a good time. So I hope you guys had fun. Okay. Yeah. That's it. Are there any last minute questions? Yes, and African creator god. Right. And I'm sure you know. It's just I want to make sure that like I got to get used to saying it. I want to make sure everybody else gets used to saying it. Because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we were just taught away in school, and we didn't really think about it, and then we just kind of repeat it. We don't really think about it. So when we say like when we say the African creator god, it's like, oh yeah, just Africa over there. And I'm not saying that you're racist or anything like that. It's just that's how our brains kind of categorize it. I had to update a slide too because I originally wrote slaves came from Africa, and I was like, no. African people were kidnapped and forced into slavery. That's how we gotta phrase it, because they're not slaves. That's not their identity. That's something that was thrust upon them. You know what I mean? So, but that's how we were taught. Oh yeah, so the slaves came from Africa. No, the people came from Africa, and we forced them into slavery, and we took them away. They didn't come over from Africa like, oh hi, we're immigrants, and it's like, oh hey, that's cool. Do you want to work on my farm? Yeah, I guess. Oh, I'm not gonna pay you. It didn't turn into that. You know, they were kidnapped and, you know, tormented and traumatized and everything, and to just say, oh, the slaves came from Africa. You know, I was like, I gotta change this. You know, in the PowerPoint, because yeah, I gotta do that. Where in Korea are you? Like you want me to give you my address? Why is there no slide about the asteroid belt? It's the Kuiper belt. That's all. This is the slide right here. This is the one slide. Okay, that's it. It's hanging out. It's got all the junk there. Okay, it's hanging out. Are you talking about like the Oort cloud or something? But yeah, it's just the problem. So the problem I found out, because I know it's like, oh, how come my teacher didn't teach this in school? It's so interesting, and I used to think that too until I had to start teaching. You have to teach the book, and there's only so much extra stuff you can fit into this lesson, and also still teach the book in the allotted time. And that's where the problem comes in. Like, as much as we would love to go into all of this other stuff, look at this. We had an interactive class. We had some talks that were pretty basic. You guys had pretty much an understanding of everything we talked about, and this took us an hour and 45 minutes. That's longer than a normal class. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the difficulty comes in. It's like, which of these do I include? And that's why I issue a lot of extra credit. If they want to learn more, and I think it's cool if they learn more, then get some extra credit for it. Let's see. So much African... There's only one place in Korea. So much African history and culture was lost. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Your unit does regular rotation there. You can message me on the thing, the DM on the Discord. That's a place. Lee used to be a Marine. So remember, they're gonna get mad at you, the other Marines. It's still is a Marine, but just not active duty or served in the Marines, because they'll get mad. They'll be like, once a Marine, always a Marine. Maybe that's why. Yeah, maybe that's why the YouTube recommended it. Yeah, good clarification, Lee. Just like how the Slavs came to be associated with slavery, there was a 2,000-year Slavic trade that happened. That's something people don't want to talk about. So, okay, you know what, Meno? You wrote Oppan Gangnam. Is there a reason people write it that way with the N? Because it's Oppa, but is it like Oppa? Is there a reason people write that with the N? Because I've seen it with the N. Oh, 1345. What's that? Heavy equipment. That's heavy equipment, right? Lee is the best Marine, so maybe that's another reason. Now, U.S. Army. Oh, gross. What happened? What happened there? I was talking with this about somebody about the concept of like an ex-Marine, ex-soldier, former Marine. We don't talk about other jobs like that, right? We don't. It's not like oh, he's an ex-cop, Nobody says that about like, oh, I'm an ex-banker. I'm an ex-doctor. So how can we say that for the military? I wonder. Like, I used to work in a hospital. I'm a doctor, but I don't practice anymore, right? I'm a Marine, but I don't practice anymore. How come we don't say it that way? Why is it always like, oh, is it a former? Is it an ex? Like, how do we say it? I didn't break up with the Marine Corps, Oppa is not father. It's older brother if you're a younger female. But it's also used in like a friendly way as well as a kind of romantic way. Because you would call your friend that's an older male friend, you would call him Oppa. And not like Oppa name, but just Oppa. Just like older brother. That's how you would call him. Shots fired figuratively. I know, right? I'd make a joke about dropping an M16 in dirt, but I don't got one. Dropping an M16 in your Kuiper belt. There we go. I was just writing the way from the side video. Interesting. So they write it with the N. That's so weird. The Marines weren't taking prior service at the time, and I decided to go active. That's dumb. Good job, Marines. Come on. Still have the tat on your back, the 1345. Are you doing the same stuff? It's 1345 is heavy equipment, right? Are you still doing heavy equipment in the Army? The real question is, can Lee do egg yolk? Why would I want to? That's so annoying to me. Oh my god, that's so annoying. Sai says, he does say Oppan. Maybe that's why. Okay. Yeah, maybe that's why. Those muskets, just the M4. We only had M4 for the infantry. It was oh, that's right. You do PSYOP. That's right. Wait, former infantry. Your former infantry in the army, right? But I'm just help me out. 1345 is heavy equipment, isn't it? It's part of combat construction. Combat construction is 1300. That's what I'm just like wondering how far my brain has gone. That's all. No, but I don't want to do Egyo. Why? When somebody does that, like I had younger students that did that with me, and I had to teach them, I'm not your mom. This only makes me mad. That's it. So if I say something and the student's like, but teacher, I'm like, do not do that. I'm not your mom. You're not my little kid. I said this thing. This is the thing. Like, I'm not, we don't have that relationship where you can and beg me. Like, that's not the relationship we have here. I'm a teacher, you're a student. That's it. But some people do have that relationship. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I'm sorry, Sean, that I keep doing this. I keep asking you, but 1345 is heavy equipment, right? Rats, I pray you never find out yet. I can't. How can Lee resist it? Because I don't have that maternal instinct, right? I just don't. So when I see a little kid doing that, I'm just like, don't manipulate me. I don't like it. If you want to convince me to change my mind, convince me. It's one of the reasons I don't teach little kids. I just don't. I've had one or two teenagers try that with me. I think it's just out of habit for them, and I'm just like, nope, that's not it. And they try to do the teach her, and I'm just like, hey, you know what? I don't like dogs. I like cats. So sad puppy dog eyes, that don't work on me. Okay, if you want to convince me of something with your words, fine. I'm willing to listen to it. But if you're just gonna try to make me feel sorry for you, no, that's not it. Dear Heavenly Invisible Pink Unicorn, no, you don't. Heavy junk operator. I mean, that's all they got. It's just a bunch of junk. Alright. It can Google... I mean, I wouldn't Google it. I would YouTube it, because you gotta hear it. You gotta hear it. Yeah. You gotta hear it. So, on that note, Sean, if you want to chat more, yeah, because I feel like half of this is me talking about how much I hate that Egyo, and the other part is me trying to make sure I remember heavy equipment. Alright. Have a good one, y'all. See you later. Thanks for joining me. Try to do some extra credit by bothering NASA and asking them when they're going to send out more probes. Okay? Do that. And then we'll call science and tell them that it's Nyakundu now. Okay? No more 2007 OR sub 10. Alright. An anteater that knows Egyo. What are you trying to do to me, Shuggle? You trying to give me a migraine? Is that what you're trying to do? You don't like my dad jokes, noted. No, I have a student that supplies me with dad jokes, and I mean, no. Yes, it's just turned. Like it just didn't just turn. It's almost noon 30. Yeah. Have I done any streams on alien life? I have not. I'm happy to do that though. If you got any recommendations, Agnostic, the Discord thing. Alright guys, see you later. Have a good one. Adios, bye-bye, and all of that.